Morning, Dan.
Good morning. Did you see what my wife got me?
No. A Dodge.
My very own Doge. Two of them. Anyway.
Nice.
What a silly token.
Yeah, definitely.
But it's an example. It's, everything we do is an experiment, right?
Right. So this thing is calling you NN8. Good. Pleased to meet you.
Nate.
Likewise.
Meet
Okay.
Nate.
I hear you're the guy behind the Blockly.
Blockley, yes.
And more abstract thinking.
Sometimes I go nutso with the math. Sure.
And he's
Sweet.
probably he's amazingly productive in putting out all kinds of stuff, for the ArchChain community that hardly anybody takes advantage of, unfortunately. He's certainly done his share.
And what's your
Is there a place where you have an inventory of all that? I'll take
the
a
web?
look at it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, cool.
Yeah.
Well, I'll stumble upon enough of it soon.
But this is kind of where things are today. And then what my habit is to, visit lots of web pages and then do a tab dump, and so whatever I talk about, you'll have a URL for it. Sometimes the notes are sort of pretty and sometimes they're bleh, but it does have a recording. So
cool.
So this is awesome OCAP. So object capability security is the way security should be done. And I got to this frustration point where nobody's using it. So I said, look at all this cool stuff you can do. So this is my inventory of incredibly cool capability security stuff.
Yeah, once people get it, they can't imagine doing any other kind of security. This is the way you own your capabilities and have control of them.
Well, it's about making scalable arrangements without crazy foot guns. So, and the way I got into ArchChain, madmode.com is my blog. Yeah, Zuko gave a shout to my awesome OCAP list, and a reply from Robert O'Brien. I discovered ArchChain's namespace logic. So that's how. When was that? That was 2017. So I where'd it go? I saw Mike Stay's name, which was familiar from CapTalk. CapTalk is a long-standing mailing list for talking about object capabilities. And his name was on the architecture documents. And so I said, I was contributing little teeny pull requests, and I got to the developer retreat. So I got to meet a lot of people. So that was fun.
Mike Stay, I guess, was also my connection into Greg's work, basically from reading his article, the Rosetta Stone article with John Baez.
That is talk about abstract stuff. That is a mind blower. Yeah, we did a reading group on
Jim,
that.
what was your interest at the time that you were reading the Rosetta paper?
Well, my physics in general, and also I was into graphical lambda calculus, which became Chem Lambda, and well, I got it, so through him I got introduced to Greg and the process calculus, which I had sort of been in the Tony the Tony Hoare School of Communicating Processes. Is where I grew up, and he opened my eyes to a whole nother view.
Did you, speaking of communicating the Tony Hoare stuff and the Blockley, did you see the recording from last week, Nate? I went through the Blockley stuff. There you go.
Really? Did we? I don't remember.
Remember we gave Christine a crash course in rolling?
Right. Yeah, he's seen some of those videos, right?
Mm-hmm. So what's your bread and butter, Nate? Oh, I didn't realize it was that scary of a question.
Well, he's on a satellite connection, which sometimes works great, but
Okay.
it's occasionally funky.
And-
he's hoping to get on Skylink. I guess it should be better when he gets on Skylink.
What sorts of things do you normally do, Nate?
He's gone, I think.
Well, some part of his software is connected. What sort of stuff do you like to do, Nate? Okay. We have very low bandwidth.
Not everybody's video's back, but can you hear me?
Yes.
What sort of stuff do I like to do? My main thing is learning all kinds of ins and outs, doing the best I can to learn everything I can I want to create my ultimate operating system.
Aha.
Aside from that, I play music. I work on a farm.
Nice.
What else?
So yeah, there's a lot of music around here. If there's a whole section in here about operating systems, by the way, object capability operating systems.
And where?
Oh,
yeah, I told Jim about what I knew about that.
Have you looked
Because I was definitely going to build that into my operating system. Go
Genode?
ahead.
If you looked at either Genode or Fuchsia or SEL4?
SEL4 is the one I came across, and
Okay.
Twizzler. But I'm glad there's a list of them. I'll definitely be looking into that.
Right. I haven't tried out the newest Genode. They come out 2 or 3 times a year. It's hot off the press, the February release. They're doing kind of the amazing stuff they're doing is object capability access to 3D graphics acceleration. And, MMI, memory mapped IO, or what is it I'm thinking of? Anyway, that's one of the challenges but they cracked it. And one of the guys, the main developer, is trying to put it on his phone.
Wow. Yeah, you've basically enticed me right there.
So you were working with
Like
Dan?
I want to do 3D graphics using so by the way, I have like a 2 to 8 second delay because I'm on satellite. But I want to do go ahead, talk. My brain just crapped out.
You were doing something with Dan Laramere in EOS last week or whenever.
Yeah, what did you want to know about that?
I forgot exactly what it was you were doing.
Let's see. Mostly I'm just learning about what his project is and what that community is. He's calling it his immediate project is Fractally within the EOS community.
Right.
It's somewhat like rgov. They're pretty much parallel projects, and I think both could learn from each other.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
interesting.
And
It's very similar to the bounty system in the sense, but it uses rank ordering. So you rank order the team members in terms of their contribution, and they get rewarded accordingly or something like that, which is a good idea. I mean, I thought that would be a good way to distribute things a long time ago. Now, and Bill's been working on some rank ordering code in Rolang. It's an interesting community, and it was sort of trying to bring together communities now, various communities with Team Human and the Token Economics Forum. I mean, Commons, DEC.
you're going to want to find something more recent. Basically, Dan Larimer released his Fractally white paper on the 22nd of last month. He did it on 2/22 of 2022 on a Tuesday at 2:22 p.m. So he kind of took it as a significant date, but he's been kind of moving fast. I mean, EOS is the community that had like $4.1 billion and basically has squandered almost all of it. And he was kind of pigeonholed into being held back by kind of government regulations. He got in a bad position. You know, he shouldn't have signed up to work for the group that he worked for. But now that he's free of that, he's saying, hey, let's resurrect this thing. And he's got some pretty solid ideas. Why I first contacted Jim, well, first of all, I met him, 4 years ago or so in a random room. But basically I was thinking, if I could implement his Fractally white paper, if I could implement all that on our chain, and show it to Dan Larimer, he's going to have to wait a year to implement his on his own blockchain because a lot of the components are missing. And as far as I can tell, there's nothing missing on our chain. And plus it's got all the added benefits of our chain. And if I can show him, one person, go ahead.
So hold on. What the heck is it called? Darn it. Here we go. Osmosis. If I were looking at doing anything serious on our chain, these are all the things, many of the things it lacks. So just catching up with industry norm, it doesn't have a mature end user wallet. It doesn't have any validators other than the co-op, which involves a certain amount of technical work and then business development. Behavioral types are ahead of the game. And DEX contracts was specific to this discussion. It doesn't have cross-chain transactions, doesn't have shards, it doesn't have bridges. Anyway, it's not actually a blockchain. It's a database so far.
Yeah, well, that's fine for what I'm thinking. You're right. I have to look into a lot of the details. Dan pointed out stuff that I could be, some gaps I could be filling in rgov. And I figured, I'm just learning Rolang right now. And so I can do both. I can maybe throw together some of Jim's stuff, while I'm learning. And then I can maybe do that.
So there's a lot in common between JavaScript and Rolang, actually. these are a bunch of patterns that you can write in either language. Claim check has been written in Erlang. I didn't find the relevant version of, let's see, here's one that's caretaker. There's E, which is an old language. Here's JavaScript and here's Erlang. These are all object capability patterns. There's a catalog of patterns. Here's the catalog of OCAP patterns in a book by Mark Stiegler in 2000. And these are all straightforward to do in either JavaScript or Erlang, which is kind of the point of object capability systems. Is that you can make all these patterns of cooperation without vulnerability. So if you're going to talk about doing something in Erlang, I will twist your arm. My impression is that Agoric is going to be sort of industrially relevant before Erlang, before RChain, but Agoric's underlying the low levels tech for Agoric might not scale, so eventually we may need to port to RChain.
So you didn't finish saying what you would twist my arm towards.
Oh,
I'm
JavaScript
curious.
and Agoric.
I see.
Repositories, in fact, oh, I can give you the little. So
What I've
What I
been
do-
what I've been contemplating is, adding a deploy Erlang primitive to an Agoric. I guess it would have to be voted in, so that we could talk to any shard from Agoric and then actually do the DEX on Agoric to convert between shards and other assets on other chains that are connected with the blockchain communication protocol.
deploy Erlang on Agoric. So you just want to send the text of the Erlang program?
Yeah.
Why use Agoric for that? I mean, you
I think
can.
Jim was saying regulations.
Because the swap contracts, I mean, we would poll for swap contracts on Erlang, and they would be executed on Agoric, and the actual
If they're going to be executed on Agoric, they have to be JavaScript, not Erlang. You can compile JavaScript to Erlang mostly, but going the other way is, I don't know how to do
Right.
that.
Yeah, no, I'm saying that the rules and the process orchestration would be on RChain, but the actual swaps would be done on Agoric in JavaScript. Yes.
You can, I don't know
No.
why you talk about that. You can do all the same process orchestration on both ends. So. Oh, you asked about.
You can only do it formally on. I mean, I suppose you could do it formally on Agoric, but doing it on RChain is always formal.
Doing it in JavaScript is always formal. I'm not sure what you mean. So you asked about building a token exchange and cross-charge swaps using Agoric. Have you watched the put your own token on the Agoric AMM recording?
I don't think so. I mean, I watched you do a swap last week.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we did try it. So the very beginning part is you make your own token, right?
Right.
And then you may recall that you keep the mint in your pocket, right? Well, if you just sort of connect that using JavaScript to, use that as a Erlang, an RChain client, and promise to only mint on the Agoric side when somebody gives you money on the RChain side, then you're done, right?
Well, if we're going to put Rev on Agoric, we have to wrap it. We have to have an escrow on our chain for the rev, right?
That's exactly what I was trying to say. Promise to mint only when somebody gives you Rev or whatever other token you're going to use.
Right. And then we can also use the rev from the Archain side to get billed in any other tokens we need for any other blockchain we're going to.
Yeah, you could swap for it on the Agoric AMM. Yeah. So it's a very straightforward piece of software engineering. The trick is, if somebody's sitting there at the Agoric AMM and they say, "Oh, Rev," why should they believe it's Rev? Who is the credible set of validators or multi-sig participants or whatever, right? And how do they know it's not just Bob in his basement that's going to deliver them something that's not really Rev?
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons they need to deploy on our chain is so that they can verify.
Yeah, but our chain is currently a database, not a blockchain. There's no validators, right?
Well,
So you either need a new shard with real validators or something, or just some multi-sig participants that'll say, I'll stand for our chain, or whatever.
it's still the authority on the rev, still.
Yeah, but
So it's, you can think of it as an oracle if you want.
right, but the piece of software that connects the two has to be run by a trusted operator.
Right. It's deployed from deploying. It's a poll from Agoric, an Agoric function to deploy on an Archain shard. Right.
Well, there's going to be
for
there's going to be an Agoric blockchain and the Archain blockchain and something in the middle.
swap. Poll for swaps and for verification of balances, etc., whatever.
Okay, but I can put something on the Agoric side and call it Rev and not connect it to Archain at all, right?
Yeah.
I can also connect it to Archain and honor about 100 trades and then not honor the 101st, right?
Yeah, we need a way to deposit Rev on Agoric.
You need a set of parties that the community trusts, right? There's no magic. There's no math proof. I mean, the way these bridges work. I mean, in IBC, the set of parties that the community trusts is the validator on the other side. Is the set of validators on the other side. But there's lots of bridges where it's just 5 companies that have good reputations. All this stuff is just hand waving unless there are 5 companies willing to put their name next to Rev, and there's none as far as I can tell.
But there's contracts that prove it. Can
Prove
the
what?
Rev.
Prove what?
That if I'm depositing 100 Rev onto Agoric, that is put into escrow on our chain.
You can get the signatures of the Archain co-op, right? That's one party. I guess if people are willing to take the signature of the Archain co-op, I'm not. Hell, they've never been reliable to me. But I guess that's as good as the Rev is these days.
Right. They're the authority on the Rev. Archain is the authority.
Okay, so at that point, we need a way to represent all those signatures and then check them in JavaScript on the other side. What a pain in the ass.
Yeah, we do an explorer and we verify it on the art, and we verify it that way.
No, but the verified computation has to happen inside the Agoric blockchain. That's the only way it's a smart contract that you don't have to trust.
Yeah, I guess
That's the way IBC works, is that the sender sends the signatures of all the validator set on their end, and then the receiver actually checks the proof. They checked all the signatures, and they know who the validators are, because they keep track of who comes and goes as validators. I mean, obviously, there's a way to do it. The Scala code's got to be out there for checking all the signatures.
So in any case, I brought up the decks at the closed meeting, and Greg said, talk to him about it, because I guess he's working with some other company on the exchange. And he thinks we should probably sync up. So you should probably sync up with him.
Who's we?
Well, I mentioned you may manage the X development.
Well, I mean, there's my occasional office hours. That's the time I have.
Right. I guess I should help manage. I should have said.
Oh, speaking of managed, there is one. Not that one. Where did I do it? Put it. I changed the title of this one to make it more clear. Staking pools need separate wards to handle when bonding.
Yeah, that's good. And
so-
I did. And I mentioned it, but I didn't have the link handy.
Okay.
Wow.
I would really like Rao to schedule that. And it's the most straightforward time is whenever they're doing the proof of stake contract update, which they're going to do in September 2021. Now I think there's a better estimate of this. Maybe I could update that. Hold on. Put that over here, and then if I go to technical roadmap.
Hey, Dan, where's that list of pieces of our Rolang that aren't implemented yet? You had a checkbox list.
This one, RChain community, RStake issues 16. It's in the Zoom chat now.
Right. And it'll be in the notes.
Cool, thanks.
It's mostly business development. Down here, I found it the other day. Where is the proof of stake update or hard fork 3? That's all passed. Hard fork 3 from okay Q2 2022. So what if I try to edit this? I don't think I can do that.
Well, you could always, you should be able to make a pull request, right?
This is not a thing you can pull request. This is the schedule. This is a milestone. Right. So I asked him in Discord to update this to match this, but just take the date alpha of this one, you know, to say see the roadmap or something. Because this one they tend to update, which is yay after like 5 years of asking.
Yeah, you were pushing it, and then a lot of people, other people pushed it, you know,
Right.
made it a priority in communications.
Yeah. So the business of checking the signatures is the same question I asked Tomislav in the IBC context, and I got the impression that it's either straightforward now or they're going to make it straightforward. So anyway.
Yeah, I don't have a clear picture of it, how it could be done. I mean, how it's done. I mean, I was assuming that we would be having trust that we could trust, you know, what we got from a read-only node.
Yeah, you'll have the
An
data.
observer node when we, you know, deployed something on our chain, and basically I didn't know how we would handle you know, if every validator were to initiate the deploy. I wasn't clear on how we would prevent it from rerunning the deploy each time is already run on our chain.
Deploys they have a timestamp and a signature that the validators check to be unique. Where did all the protobuf code go? Oh, I'm looking at source test, source main protobuf. Here we go. So Casper message.proto. Somewhere there's a block thing, block request. There's a signature block message. So if you're staring at the data that comes over the wire, or you happen to have it on a, you know, you've got a follower node or something somewhere in there, this data is stored. So there's a block hash and a header and a bunch of justifications and a signature, and you check the signature. But then you have to, okay, so you've got a bunch of signed bytes. Okay, then you want to know that the bytes actually signed a transaction to send some rev, right?
Yeah, well, you want to, whatever it did.
Yeah. So you have to go and decode the block and find all the, but that's, you know, it's, then you go in and you get a bunch of transactions or whatever, but then eventually you end up with some Rolang stuff, and here's all the way the Rolang is represented as bytes on the wire. There's lists and receives and sends and news and matches and all this stuff. And you get out your protobuf tweezers and you pick out the bytes. Finding the relevant bytes in a block is not always easy. Anyway.
So this could be this looks a lot nastier than I was hoping we could do. So, well.
It's still, I mean, for the folks that know how our chain works, it can't be that hard. For me, it's, you know, it's not clear how to do it, but I know it's doable. Because the R chain nodes do it, right?
Yep.
Well, no, they don't care what the message was. They don't pick out individual transactions, but you can sort of tell by induction that they do it. They certainly verify blocks. And the revdefine.io, you know, the Explorer, that thing had to pick out the transactions out of the blocks, right? Either that or they made up some other service. I'm not sure how that thing works. But they're working on making all that smoother, I think.
Yep, it's you're keeping transaction index or whatever.
I guess I'll leave it as this one. As far as tab dumps, I have to remember to keep the tabs open sometimes.
And, And, I'm thinking, of being a lot more general than just tracking web transactions. And that's,
Oh, well, so what we're doing when we build this thing that checks all the signatures is we're doing VATTP. So,
you doing what? CapTP?
no, VATTP, the layer below.
Oh, that TB.
Yeah, so if I go to, here's the Agoric documentation, which is, of varying quality, but there's one part of it in particular, the JavaScript framework that I rewrote. So I'm happy about it. And I based it on this 4-part series that Mark Miller gave, that I highly recommend to anyone mildly technical. Let's see. Let me just find the relevant figure.
Yeah, so this is the first talk in this.
Stop here. So VATTP is the protocol that connects these green boxes. And it's basically sending signed messages around, or however, sending blobs of bytes that are authentic and ordered, I think. Yeah, the receiver has to decide what order they came in. In the Agoric architecture, the R-chain, the order is not a strict linear order. It's a, DAG or whatever.
So what happens if you send the same transaction twice?
In what context? VATTP?
Just in general, if I were to do 2 identical deploys to the blockchain.
In R-chain?
Yeah.
The second one you'll get go away, buzz off. That we already seen that one. If you use the same timestamp and the same signature, then it looks it up and says, well, first of all, remember you have to do valid after block number.
Yeah.
So that tells the node how far back it has to search for a duplicate, right?
Right.
So that keeps the search bounded. So the
so that if you miss the window, you'll do the transaction again. Well, wait a second. Valid after block. If you do the transaction valid after block 10 and then do for block 11, and then in block 12, you send the same transaction again, valid after 11 or whatever, space. I was thinking of that if we cache the result, we would get we would know that we're getting the same result when we do the block again. And we wouldn't have to replay it. Say, oh, the result of this was such and such, and if you do it again, you get the same result.
I'm not sure what context you're in. What are you thinking about?
I'm thinking about if I had a blockchain with a deploy Erlang primitive, and it were to and the nodes had to verify the result, that they would be trying to execute the same transaction each time, and you don't want to run the transaction again the second time or the third time or whatever.
What do you mean by again? What do you mean by same traction? What do you mean by same transaction?
Okay, I send you 10 reps or whatever.
Right.
Okay, now I have a primitive or whatever, a mechanism that will deploy on our chain the transaction, sending you 10 rev.
Right.
Now the other validators are going to want to verify that transaction.
Right.
So they send the same transaction again.
No, they don't.
They make a new transaction.
No, they
And
don't.
send you 10 more? No.
No, they don't send the transaction. They receive the transaction. I mean, when you originally sent it, it got gossiped to all the peers. So they all have it now.
That's it. We send it on our chain. Well, the peers on our chain have it. The peers,
Right.
the peers on the other blockchain don't have it.
There's another blockchain. Okay, that's not something you said earlier. Okay.
Okay, so, on the other blockchain, I have a primitive that deploys on our chain, gets a result. Right.
Wait, say that
Now,
again more slowly. On the other blockchain, what?
I have a primitive to deploy Rolang, and I deploy a transfer of 10 rev to you,
So,
or 10x, whatever it is.
so this is another Archain shard?
No, this is another blockchain.
Well, it can't run Rolang then.
Well, the Rolang primitive runs it on our chain. It doesn't run it on. Okay, it
That makes it an Archain shard. If it can run Rolang, that makes it an Archain shard.
has to run it on an existing shard. If just like any client would run deploy.
Well, blockchain nodes don't go hand computation to somebody else to verify. That's the whole purpose of a blockchain node, is to actually verify the computation. So if it can run, for example, it may have an Archain node handing by and it does that, but that makes it in aggregate an Archain node.
Well, it can deploy to any Archain node, any Archain
Yes, but that
shard.
means that it trusts that Archain node, right?
It considers that Archain node an authority with respect to the tokens on that.
Right. So in some
Shard.
sense, there's no distinction between whatever it is you're talking about in the Archain node that it sends the stuff to do for execution. So for example, if you have two pieces of software sitting there on the same machine, one of them receives the Archain, hands it to the software that we know and love as our node, executes it and gets those two pieces of software might as well be the same piece of software. They're certainly the same party as far as trust relationships are concerned. You're an Archain node if and only if you can run and verify Archain or Rolang transactions.
Yeah, I don't know where our disconnect is at the moment, but
You can't outsource the computation, right?
yeah, well, consider the Archain network to be a trusted oracle.
Okay.
Okay, so we run this thing, we get this result.
Uh-huh.
What I'm suggesting, if we run the exact same transaction again, we should get the same result. That way, multiple nodes on the other chain can verify the transaction, the result that our chain gave. Whatever our chain whatever the observer node says happened.
Well, I know how to set that up as an Oracle network. And you just have a bunch of observer nodes and they all put money on the table and say, you know, I promise to faithfully relay data from our chain to you. You know, it's same as a weather service for that matter.
Yeah. I was thinking of just having a gateway that we use, that we run, that we trust, that observes the shard.
Okay, well, you mean who's we? When you say we trust the shard?
Whether, you know, call it the oracle or the
Yes, but the way, or so if you're saying that there's this service acts as an oracle to the Agoric blockchain, you have to give the Agoric blockchain some reason to believe what the oracle says, right?
right.
You have to have some money at stake there. A reputation at least, or something. And again, it's
Okay.
the same game. You have to get signatures from many parties, and you have to check the signatures, and that signature checking has to happen as a verified computation inside the Agoric blockchain.
Right. All right. I'll contemplate some more, but we're not ready. I mean, I suggested that in the Monday RDEB meeting, we would discuss, you know, potential of people joining the exchange team or taking part in it. Since you and Bill are pretty busy, I was trying to drum up some other, see if there's other community resources that might be useful in doing it.
Right.
I'm not sure. I thought I had a pretty close model in my mind, and I could help guide, but at this point, I'm not so sure.
I should make a note here because I think you've been in at this page before, and we talked about the two-way reliable messaging layer.
Right, that TP, right.
And what we talked about was just upgrading from the exploratory deploy, using that as kind of a RPC, to a peer-to-peer messaging thing where you use the exploratory deploys to send message and get an ACK, and then for messages going the other way, you have to probably do polling. But if you're gonna, but that just relays the bytes reliably, but it doesn't cause the Agoric blockchain to believe what the RChain network said. So, and to get that, we need to check the signatures. You know, when the, you know, we do a poll and we see, oh yes, there's a message coming this way, and we grab the message, and then we need the signatures of all the validators for that message. And at that point, the Agoric blockchain would be compelled to believe that this was said by the RChain network, right? And that's the one where oh, did I go too far? Yes, this one. It was nearby to this one. Our chip proposals. We had a couple about IBC. This one, RChain Light Client is what I'm talking about.
Right. So are you finding this interesting, Nate, or is it, did we lose you?
Well, I'm just
Because-
keeping it at a high level, taking
Yeah. Well,
vibes in.
yeah, I'm kind of
And-
lost myself.
I mean, I'm looking up, well, I'm looking up the different, like I found that 4-part series.
Yeah,
I'm looking up different things I'm hearing.
yeah, this,
Yeah, that.
I think this would help a lot.
Yeah, I found it as part of the bigger playlist. It'd be nice to find that actual playlist, but okay, well, can you throw the link in? Sorry, I should have thought to ask that. Throw the link in the Zoom. Thanks. I found those 4 talks as part of a bigger playlist on Protocol
Right,
Labs
right.
plus Agoric playlist. Yeah. Cool.
We've got, oh, I know why the upgrade from last week didn't work. Do-do-do-do-do-do. Um, Can I play this 10-minute recording?
Sure.
Let's see. I think it tells its own
Sure.
story. Oh, let's see. I have to get the passcode. Just a moment. It's not really secret or anything. The heck. There it is. Okay. Now share again. Where to go? So this is something I tried to do my office hours here last week, and it didn't. Well, we got stuck on something, and I found the bug like 10 minutes later, of course. And I wonder if I shared my screen in such a way that the audio.
All right.
Is the audio on that video coming through okay?
I think it's not coming through your speakers. Did you check the box optimized
No,
for
I'm
video?
not hearing anything.
Okay, hold on. Share sound. There it is. And I'll share just this one for now. No, no. I'll do this. The cloud. All right. So just a little bit of background. So the Agoric tech stack has got Tendermint and IBC at the bottom, and then some JavaScript stuff on top of that, and then some economy stuff on top of that. So our mainnet has the Cosmos stuff only, the Tendermint stuff only. And then our DevNet has the Cosmos stuff, the JavaScript, but no economy at this point. So what I'm doing, and there's some kind of magic step that we haven't defined yet really to get from no JavaScript to JavaScript. But in what I'm about to do, we're assuming that JavaScript and Zoe is already there. So
that magic is mainnet one launch. Yes.
right. So I'm assuming
export the state and we create a new blockchain that
Right.
Yep. We know how to do that.
Okay. So this much has started. So I can, for example, I can look at home.zoe and there's Zoe. All
And
right.
is there a run issuer a run brand that you can look at, even though it's not controlled by contracts yet? I believe there should be, right?
Yeah, in fact, this client I've got here is after the demo works, but it
Oh, I
also,
see it.
even before, there is a home.org names lookup brand. Yeah, that's there early on. Blockchain, and there, okay. So this demo is about going from no economy to
Yeah,
economy.
redevelop print loop, having a REPL for JavaScript that's talking chain, it's just so awesome.
Yeah, it's fun. It's very fun. Okay, so we have all that stuff going, and then we have a JavaScript file that proposes to start the economic committee and set up the AMM and start the price authority and the vault factory and such. There's
And those
some,
are each individual bootstrap chunks of stuff we could do, that we can do, is that correct?
right, right. And
Can you
this
expand
doesn't,
one of those?
that's a screenshot, but let me go into the actual code. And then, yeah. So
Okay.
that one's boring, but if like set up AMM is going to consume Zoe and the AMM bundle and the economic committee creator facet, and it's going to produce the AMM creator facet, and it needs to consume the run issuer. So,
Run Mint, presume. Oh, no, the AMM does not, right.
all
Got
right,
it.
the AMM does not get the license to print money, but the
Uh-huh.
Vault Factory does. The Vault Factory gets this thing called fee mint access that you can
Mhm.
use to print money. Right, so that's that stuff. And then, go ahead.
I say, in order to give it the access to the Mint thing, I would go to the Vault Factory, I'd see how it got the run Mint, and I would add that to the AMM. Is that correct?
Right,
This matters because the USDC thing ends up needing minting authority. And so we may end up indeed passing minting authority to the AMM. So that's why I asked.
interesting, okay, right. All right, so then we have a make file that basically drives AgD, our Cosmos SDK integration thing. So AgD we is like basically Arnode. make a Cosmos governance proposal that includes all this JavaScript. And then we can do the normal query gov proposals, Cosmos SDK thing. We can see that it's going to end in 1 minute because it's just my desktop. And then here's the blockchain times over here, and we're not quite to 2024-03. We're at 2023 and 28. But then the proposal passes, and then you can see all the bits starting up of the economy. And then, okay, so then the economy has started. Now I'm going to propose that we actually seat the economic committee. And my address is, X3N, X3N. So I make sure that's in the proposal, and I do vote proposal equals 2, the serial number in the Cosmos governance, and I propose to evaluate this econ committee start.js thing, which is just a little bit of code. It's all log messages now because I was debugging. All right.
Wait, go back. And in that vote, does that proposal have embedded in it? Does econ committee start have embedded in it your public key? I mean, your
Yeah,
address?
my address right here.
Oh, there it is. Got it. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And did you then install that, or does the proposal have the thing to do the installation of that code?
There's no install in this stuff. The
Right.
governance committee already exists.
Yeah.
Okay, and what the contract is running and stuff. It just has not sent out any invitations for anybody to participate.
Got it. Mhm.
So I want to send out an invitation to participate.
Mhm.
All right, so I make this proposal, and that'll basically just look up my deposit facet and send it to and get the invitations, because you have to have the creator facet to get the invitations. So that's the tricky bit, why you have to get into this bootstrap world. And then the voting time comes and goes or something. I'm not sure what that screenshot was about. This was just me checking that the AMM is in fact out there on the blockchain while this is going on. All right, so then, ding, one Zoe invite. I now I've got an invitation to participate, and I can go and get the wallet administration thing so that I can get, in the REPL, you can get right at your purses, which is not how DApps work, but in the REPL you can. And get at the current amount, and I'm voter number 0, and that you can look at the installation and all that kind of stuff to verify that you're voting in the right thing and stuff. And there we go. So the rest of the actual voting on the economic proposal to raise the interest rates and stuff like that is, I did an earlier demo that was just yes or no questions, so I haven't done a raise the interest rate question, but this was all the parts we didn't know how to do, to my mind.
Right. Yes. Okay, so you went through a sequence of deploy the run protocol using the generic mechanism, so we'd be in a position to deploy more contracts that way that have interesting bootstrap rights, like and also that would be the same mechanism to do upgrades, or it's a different mechanism?
That's actually a very good question, because I probably need to keep the admin facets of all the vaults of all the VATs I've been creating, the contract VATs, and I think I might have dropped those on the floor.
Okay, yes, I think they all need to go into a big dictionary
Right.
inside that bootstrap.
Right.
So each time we're doing this, we're adding things that, I mean, presumably one of the actions here is added to the dictionary of things that can be administered from Bootstrap.
Right. This is consuming from the dictionary. Well, there's kind of 4 dictionaries, but this is saying I want the economic committee and the names by address thing to be able to find this guy's deposit facet.
Got it. I see. And then the creator facet should be produced, basically.
Right.
Yes. Okay.
Somewhere else. Yeah.
Yes, and then you added, and so can it also replace the economic committee? Can a change vote replace the economic committee?
The economic committee can vote to replace itself, and replacing it from the outside, I think I have a theory, but I have not verified it.
Okay, because presumably the plan is every year the build DAO will vote to approve the, to update the economic committee.
Right.
Basically. And it should stay the same as it is. It can roll over its members, but the build DAO can replace it.
Right. We have a ticket to make sure that this all works, but
Yeah.
haven't
This is
verified
really
yet.
cool. Thank you.
Yeah. It's fun
Very, very
stuff.
cool.
Cool.
Good, yes. And having done this, so this is something that I think we will talk about at the community call. When we talk about the bill, run protocol will be separated out as a package of releases that or components that can launch on top of the chain, and we just on the weekend went through a dry run process of that on, now you did this on the local chain, not on DevNet, right?
That's
Is that
correct.
Okay, so we will,
Actually, yeah,
yes?
this is really cool.
So we will do this on DevNet. DevNet is a 3-day voting period, is that right?
36 hours. So it's, one day,
yeah.
no matter where you are on the planet.
Right. Okay, good. So if we did this tomorrow, it would succeed or fail by Wednesday.
Right.
Do you have to wait for the economy to be deployed before you can make a proposal to join the economic committee? Or can they pipeline?
They can, let's see. They can pipeline.
Okay, right. Good. Well, this will be fun to talk to having the channels
Yeah.
about here's what's going on. And
Rick would have enjoyed this.
yes, it is recorded, so
Okay.
good.
Speaking of, shall I go ahead and stop the recording?
Yes.
All right. Ta-da. So that was some of my recent work. It didn't work last Saturday, but it worked a couple days later.
Nice.
That was the guy who was mostly talking on the other end was our CEO, Dean Tribble. And the other guy that said a few words here and there was Zucky, who's a big guy in the Cosmos ecosystem.
Nice.
Oh, wow. They gave me
Cool. Yeah.
text. That's kind of cool.
Cool. I got exposed to some more things. Thanks.
All right. I should probably run along.
I as well. Thank you.
All right.
Nice meeting you.
Hi, Nate, I guess we lost Dan. Um, we
Well,
were
yeah,
gonna,
he had to go.
we were gonna go over the registry sometime. I don't know if you want to do it now or you want to schedule another time to go over the registry.